I wanted to share number talks with you guys. This is something that I learned about last year at Osuna, and we use it every day in our classrooms, K through 5, and it can be like adjusted to any grade level, and it also can be applied to ELA. So I'm just going to show you a couple little things. My goals for this presentation is to just kind of inform you guys about number talks and text talk, the benefits of it, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples so you can try it. I've got a primary one and a secondary one for you guys. And number talks are a short group of discussions on how you guys can get your kids using mathematical language to communicate. It hits several standards, not just your math standards, but lots of communication, speaking, and listening standards. And I think I'm going to you'll see the benefits as we go along. Number talks teach how we will teach students how you can communicate in a respectful manner. It will help them use some of their mental math strategies that they've been taught. It allows them to verbalize their thinking and encourages students that it's okay to make mistakes. Okay. And before we can get into the number talks, I want to show you guys a short video about talk moves. And hopefully this will work. Oh, it did not work. Or maybe it is going to. Is our sound good and everything? Hello? Can you tell I'm nervous? I don't like being in front of the camera. If the camera wasn't on, we'd be fine. Okay.
Nice balls. Nice balls, Brandy.
So this video is only about 2 minutes, except you're not seeing the video. You guys are still on. What's it on?
It's not mirroring.
Why is it not like connecting?
It should. I don't know. Go to your
What if I did it and show? Maybe. There it goes. Okay. I think this video, we won't watch the whole thing, just the first couple minutes.
Talk moves are a way to encourage discourse in the classroom. And the first talk move that I learned was repeating.
That was that. It's not coming.
Can you explain, Romy, what she just did up there?
What she said was 80 divided by 4 is not 20, so it's not going to be the same as those two because you don't add numbers.
At first, no one can repeat it because children were used to, the teacher called on that person, so I'm going to check out until she calls on me. And then suddenly it was like, whoa, we need to pay attention. And they really started paying attention to each other, and they could finally repeat.
I would like to add something with Jason just said 60, 80.
Another talk move was adding on, where we listened very carefully to what somebody said, and then they felt that something else needed to be added. So they would say, I'd like to add on to what so-and-so said. Who has an answer that they want to give? Jason? And why do you think, are there any other answers? One of the talk moves that we created is the silent signal in the classroom that I'm thinking the same thing as you are. In my class, the I agree with you sign is this. It's like you and I think alike. That is so encouraging to the student who is speaking when they suddenly see everybody doing this to them. They're like, yeah, they think of the way I am, I rock. And they are encouraged by what they're saying.
You can't change the divisor, you can only change the dividend.
So what do you think?
Okay, so I'm going to stop it right there. I just went over a couple of the talk moves that I'm going to show you real quick. So, let's see if I can get this back on the right slide here. So these are the basic talk moves that you use during a number talk. For the younger primary grades, we use we have like a cute little number garden with the sticks to help remind the kids of stuff. And for the older kids, I've seen the teachers when they display the poster, or they just have popsicle sticks that have them if they need to be reminded of them. But during a number talk, there's only 2 rules. The 2 rules are that we show respect by listening, and then the second rule is that we give a fair turn to whoever's talking. So we're letting them finish what they have to say, no matter how long they go. We're kind of letting them get whatever they want to say out before anybody interrupts them. The second talk move is revoicing, or for first grade, we say repeat. Can you repeat what Brandy just said? And so the kids are kind of restating what they heard, which is helping them kind of think of like, oh, I know how Brandy was thinking. And so just getting her to repeat whatever her answer was. And then the next talk move is reasoning, and so we have agree and disagree. And if children agree or disagree, they have to give a reason why they agree or disagree. So these are our 2 flowers for that. So the talk move, and another thing with number talks is it's kind of a quiet time. So like you saw in the video, this would be the universal signal for I agree with you. And then if you had a disagreement, like if somebody didn't, instead of saying, no, you're wrong, or shouting out, you're supposed to use this is no in sign language, and so you're supposed to just have it real close up here, saying, I disagree. And it's a silent signal so the teacher can see it, and then the teacher might say, oh, Leanne, can you explain why you disagree? Okay, and then adding on is a little bit more in depth. This is definitely something that the bigger kids can start with more quickly than the little ones. For example, my class is not ready to do the add-on, but it's when, somebody states something and then you have something else that you can kind of piggyback off of whatever they were saying. The wait time, actually that kind of I put toward the top because you'll see when we do a mock one in just a minute, you provide wait time for everybody to have their answer. And then the last talk move is the think, pair, share, or the turn and talk, and that's when the group will turn to their partner and share their thinking with each other. And we're going to try one here in just a second. So this next one is an example of a primary number talk. What I do, you can do several things. You can use a 10 frame, a rec and rec, a number track. For this one, we're going to do subitizing. So what I'd like for you to do right now is look at how many dots do you see and how do you see it? When you know the answer, show me by putting a thumbs up. Okay, so I see that everybody has an answer. And during this time, sometimes some kids will take longer than others, and that's why we have the wait time. And this is better than, somebody's raising their hand and it's kind of disruptive for the other kids who are still thinking and they're like, Brandy's already got an answer, so I'm just not even going to try. And so this is a quiet way to allow them for everyone to think. And if you've got some quick ones that are like on their feet and they're bored, you can tell them, well, think of another strategy. How could you explain that you saw that? And so they could show maybe that I know more than one strategy of what this answer is. So real quick, what I want you to do is I'm going to have you turn and talk to a partner. We'll just do this for like 20 seconds for you guys. And explain what you saw initially first and how you got to this answer. All right, go ahead and do that. Okay, I'm going to bring it back. 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, I'm going kind of fast because I want to be mindful of your time. But is there somebody that wants to share what they saw for that problem? Leanne, what did you see?
Well, at first I took it as 5 plus 3 is 8,
Mm-hmm.
but then I also know that 5 minus 3 is 2.
5 minus 3. Oh, I see what you're saying. So you saw 5
Yes.
minus 3 equals 2.
Yes.
Okay, so you were thinking a little bit of in a different way that, is this an addition problem? Is this a subtraction
Yes.
problem?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's really good. And I maybe didn't make that clear. What I was looking for is how many were there altogether. Is there anybody that saw that the exact same way as Leanne? You saw the 5 and the 3 and you added it together. Yeah? Okay.
I didn't know we were supposed to be adding or something. I just went 5 10s and 3 1s, 53. I thought it was just a number.
So that's interesting. That wouldn't you know that would be the 5th grade teacher that saw the 53?
Yeah.
Very good.
They can only count to 10.
Aw.
The kindergartner saw the puppy, so.
So all of those are correct. And so do you see how you could have several different discussions about that number and the way all of us perceived it a little bit differently? You might hear some kids, something that's real popular right now in my class is counting by 2s. And so all the kids would be like, I saw 2, 4, 6, 8, or something like that. And so another kid might say, oh, I saw that too. Or you might have some really out-of-the-box thinkers that are like, oh, I saw 5 and 5, and then I just subtracted 2. So they're thinking of like a doubles minus 2 strategy. It just depends on your thinker and how they look at it. Okay, now I want you guys to really test your brain and try to solve this mentally. This is like a 4th, 5th grade problem. Try to solve this mentally right now in your head. When you know your answer, show me. We're going to provide wait time for those who need it. Okay. Some of you guys got this answer really fast. It would have taken me a little bit longer. Now I want you guys to turn one more time to your partners, and I want you to explain to each other how you got this. What I do in my classroom for this before I let them go is we do just this little thing where we go, I say, teach, and then they say, okay. So just if you wanted to do that. So go ahead and teach each other how you got this answer.
Okay. Did you just know it? I got 21. You got 21? No.
6 is 60.
So what I did was I took 10 times 6, so I got 16. I took 16. Yeah.
And I know 6 times 5 is 3. There's 3.
I needed
Yes,
addition,
and I
so
added
if you
3
had
times
6,
So
it
that's
would
16.
be 21.
Or,
Hey, Aurora.
I had to go.
Clark.
Thank you.
So where would we get a poster like that if we were to do something like this? Whoa, mother of pearl.
No, I don't know. I can email you
Okay.
a link. I'll find out where I got it. We got it from our school. So
Wait, is this
I'll
something we're gonna do, people?
So, Ahmed said I could lead a criticals group if I wanted to with this. Critical friends. We did number talks for our BDP lesson.
Did you? That's awesome.
Thanks for sharing.
So, did somebody have a really neat way that they came up with this, or like Robin? Can you explain how you got this? I heard you. I liked what you were saying.
Oh, I did 6 times 10, and I know that's 60, and then I did 6 times 5, and that's 30.
Good. Excellent. So that might have been, look, Leanne did that too. Awesome. When I first saw this problem, what I initially thought, I don't know why I went this way, because what you did was a lot faster and quicker. But I initially thought of it as a clock. I don't know how I did this in my head, but I thought of the clock, I broke it up into 4 quarters, and I know that there's,
Yes.
Did you do that too,
Well, I
Brandon?
did.
Yeah.
I did. I
So
knew that
overcomplicated.
15, like 3 15s was 45, and 45 plus 45 is 90.
Genius.
I'm all right. I did that right.
Isn't that interesting how her brain thought of it one way, her brain thought of it one way, my brain thought of it one way, and if I really did not know, I would have gone back to the standard algorithm there.
I still saw it.
And so,
21.
let's talk about differentiation since we have somebody who needs some help here. So, typically a number talk should just be this like beginning of your lesson, no more than 15 minutes. Sometimes mine take 5 minutes. It just depends on your problem. How you could differentiate this to your group is usually I can get through, some teachers can get through 3 different problems. Usually I get through 2 problems in my number talk. And so you might want to start with an easier number talk problem, like with the subitizing, or if you just wanted to do something like 14 plus 5, depending on your grade level, and just something that you know that all students can achieve. And you know that maybe you're going to call on those who are lower, because that's a problem that's right up their alley. And then for the next one, you maybe want to make it a little bit more challenging for them. Another thing you can do, depending on your student, is get out a whiteboard. The goal is that this is mental math. However, some kids this is too much for them, and so maybe they need a whiteboard, maybe they need a marker. As long as they're using it to help them solve the problem, that's totally fine. Okay. So the next thing is, how do you get started? I mean, how I got started is I just jumped right in. I started with subitizing for my younger ones, and went from there. You can make up your own talk moves in your classroom however you want. We actually use the silent signal now for when I have an answer for everything in my class. It really, really has, one, cut back on the noise, and two, just I feel like the anxiety. So we try not to do this as much as possible now. We try to always do this. And so it can apply to other areas as well. There's a lot of number talk instruction videos on YouTube, which is, I love watching YouTube videos, tutorials on all kinds of things. And so that's another way. You can also, ask another teacher at your school that's using number talks to maybe go observe them or have them observe you. And then there's the resource. If you're looking for a resource, this is the link to the number talks book. Okay. And the next thing is, if you don't mind, if we could watch a short 3-minute video on how we can apply this to ELA real quick. This video I really like. This lady, this is how she is applying it to her 5th graders. Sorry, I need to get it up for you guys.
So after we do the small group brainstorm, I ask them to come prepared for text talk time. And text talk time is a discussion structure that I created in order to give the kids an opportunity to talk about a text that we had been reading during the week. It's an opportunity for them to call the shots and to discuss what they were thinking when they read the text. And it's also an opportunity for me to ask questions that challenge them and that I'll later expect them to respond to in writing.
Before we get started, I want to go over the expectations like we do every single time. One person speaks at a time. And lately, we've been kind of talking about how sometimes we get excited and we all start joining in and blurting out, and that's okay every once in a while. That happens in normal conversation. But we just remember that if I call for the zero noise signal, that we're all going to come back as a group and hear one person. Listen carefully. Fully to the speaker. Right? You don't know if you're adding something if you're not listening to what someone else said, right? So you need to listen carefully. And use hand signals. So 2 fingers if you have something to add onto what somebody has already said, and thumbs up if you have something new to say.
I use the strategy of hand signals in order to promote active listening. I also use hand signals to help me facilitate the conversation.
Oh wow, lots of thinking.
This strategy has been really effective because raising your hand wasn't enough. It gives students an opportunity to show me that they have something to say.
She has something new to say, looks like. Okay.
I have 2 questions.
Pose them to the group.
Okay. So the first one is, what happened to the ship after they left? The ship that was going to come and they waited?
Can we go to that part? Do you know what page it said that on so we can...
I think... Well, we heard that in the beginning.
For the first 20 minutes of the conversation, I'm just choosing students and trying to give turns to an equal number of students from different parts of the circle. I'm the facilitator in this discussion.
Natalia, you have something to add?
Also on Sacagawea, it was hard probably for her because she had her baby with her, and to go around that river and stuff, like babies, like we were talking about in our group, babies need a lot of good care, and it would be hard to go through all that, especially as a baby.
Do we have evidence that Sacagawea was with them when they crossed the falls? I don't think she was.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there, but I think you guys kind of got the hint of how it's going. And that was actually something, another talk move that I didn't get to that's not on the poster, but we have one that's give evidence, which is kind of backing up your answer. And it can be used for both math or ELA. But I think you saw just in there how many standards this is hitting. And it really is helpful because it teaches the kids, to go back, hunt for things in the text. We could use this in as young as kindergarten. You could say, I see the duck. How do you know there's a duck? And looking back at the picture, using the picture clues, those type of things. So really you can, make this fit to your needs in the classroom. And also you can see that her talk moves were a little bit different than the number talk ones. And that's fine too. You just kind of come up with what is best for your group. And I think that is all I have for you guys, other than I would like to email you guys, if that's okay, a survey link. And if you guys wouldn't mind just filling out a little survey for me, and I really appreciate you coming. Do you have a question, Robin?
I do have a question.
Sure.
So, are you using it both in math and ELA in your classroom?
Right now I'm just using it in math. I have not branched out into ELA. That is what we are supposed to do this year, though, as like our school-wide goal.
And so my question for you then, my follow-up question on that would be, if you were going to use it for math and ELA, would you keep your moves the same across content areas?
I would. And that's something we actually talked about school-wide since the school is using it. We talked about coming up with our signals so that they're pretty universal for the whole classrooms. Some teachers have them a little bit different, but for the most part, we try to keep our things the same so that when they go to second grade and third grade, they are ready to just jump right in. Yeah. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jordan.
If you guys want to do the